Hey everyone, welcome to today's deep dive. So you know those videos, right? The ones that just constantly pop up on your feed every couple of months.
Oh, yeah.
Like a sleek metallic humanoid doing a perfect backflip. Or a robotic arm catching a ball with superhuman reflexes. Or maybe those, drones swarming in perfect formation like a school of fish.
Yeah, it's that whole the future is here genre of internet content. I mean, we watch them, we share them, we get that little shiver of excitement.
Right.
Or maybe terror, depending on how you look at it, just thinking about what comes next.
Exactly. It really feels like we're just living in a sci-fi movie now.
Right.
But when we started digging through the stack of materials for today's deep dive, I realized something. We always ask, what can these robots do?
Mm-hmm.
We never ask the boring, practical, messy question that actually matters.
Which is what?
When that back-flipping robot lands wrong and, I don't know, blows a hydraulic gasket on a Tuesday afternoon,
Right.
who cleans it up? Like, who actually fixes it?
Yeah, it's definitely the unglamorous side of the revolution. Because if your laptop breaks, you go to the Genius Bar. If your car breaks, you go to the mechanic.
Yeah.
But if a $100,000 autonomous forklift just dies in the middle of a warehouse shift, there is no Jiffy Lube for that.
Right. And that is exactly where today's deep dive begins. So we're looking at a Colorado-based company that claims to be the answer to that very specific, very expensive problem. They're called Robo Reliance.
Robo Reliance.
Yeah, and we're basing this on a really fascinating stack of their internal documents. We have their business plan from February 2026, their investor deck, the cap table, and their full team directory.
And their pitch is, honestly, it's deceptively simple. Their mission statement is just, quote, "We keep robots running."
Short and sweet.
Yeah, very. But when you peel back the layers of these documents, you realize they aren't just a repair crew. They are really positioning themselves as the missing link.
The service layer.
Exactly, the service layer between the companies building these incredible machines and the businesses that are actually trying to use them day to day.
It's the classic picks and shovels play, right? Like while everyone else is burning billions of dollars trying to invent the smartest AI brain or the most dexterous hand, Robo Reliance is betting that the real money is in being the guy who shows up with a toolbox when the smart robot stops working.
And looking at their market analysis, the timing seems to be the critical factor here because the robotics industry is going through a massive shift right now.
Yeah, let's unpack that shift a bit.
Yeah.
Because for a long time, robots were, well, pretty boring.
Boring and safe. I mean, for 40 years, if you said industrial robot, you meant a giant orange arm bolted to a concrete floor in a GM factory.
Right, instead of literal cage.
Exactly, inside a safety cage. The environment was perfectly controlled, the lighting was perfect, the temperature was perfect, and if it broke, GM had a whole team of specialized engineers sitting 50 feet away in an office.
But that's not the world Robo Reliance is targeting today.
No, not at all. The new wave of robotics is leaving the cage. They call it uncontrolled environments. So we are talking about robots flipping burgers in a greasy fast food kitchen, or autonomous tractors bouncing through a muddy field in the rain, or logistics bots dodging people in a chaotic warehouse.
So basically, entropy takes over.
Exactly. Dust, grease, humidity, human error. Things break so much faster in the real world than they do in a lab. And the problem, the service gap, as they call it in the deck, is that the manufacturers, the OEMs, are completely unprepared for this.
You know, this was the part of the biz plan that really surprised me. Because you'd assume that if I buy a robot from a major tech company, they'd have a service plan, right? Like buying a warranty on a fridge.
You would assume so. But think about the economics of a tech startup. If you are building the next generation of humanoid robots, your investors want you spending money on R&D.
Right.
They want better code, lighter materials, longer battery life. They do not want you spending millions of dollars buying a fleet of 5,000 white vans and hiring mechanics in every zip code from Des Moines to Miami.
It's a huge distraction.
It's a total distraction, and it just kills your margins. It's heavy infrastructure. So the result, according to the data in the Robo Reliance deck, is that the current response time for a broken commercial robot is averaging 48 to 72 hours.
2 to 3 days. That's insane.
Right. Now, imagine you are the deployer. That's their term for the business owner. You run a high-volume restaurant. You replaced your fry cook with a robot to save money.
Okay.
It's Friday night, the dinner rush is starting, and the robot freezes.
Then you can't just call a temp agency. The robot is the line.
Exactly. You are losing thousands of dollars an hour in downtime. You call the manufacturer, and they say, well, we can have someone there by Monday. That is a complete disaster. This is what they call the deployer's dilemma. These businesses don't have a robotics PhD on staff.
So what usually happens in that scenario?
The manager tries to fix it. They start jiggling wires, rebooting things, maybe hitting it with a wrench out of frustration. And suddenly, a $500 sensor calibration issue becomes a $10,000 replacement because they stripped a gear.
Wow. Okay, so the market need is incredibly clear. And they're projecting the global robotics market to hit $200 billion by 2030. But Robo Reliance is specifically looking at the third-party field service slice of that pie, which they estimate at $2 to $5 billion.
Yeah, and that slice is growing at 15% a year. It's a very healthy niche.
Okay, so the problem is real. The demand is obviously there. Let's talk about the solution. Because if the manufacturers can't afford to build a nationwide fleet of vans, how can Robo Reliance do it? Doesn't the exact same math apply to them?
That's the clever part of their strategy. They aren't trying to be a traditional employer. They are building a capital light model. They are using a 1099 independent contractor network.
Okay, I can hear the skeptics already. Uber for robot repair.
Yeah, it's a valid comparison, but think of it more like the way IT support or specialized HVAC works. They aren't just grabbing random people off the street who want a side hustle. They are recruiting technicians who already have adjacent skills.
Like who, specifically?
Like someone who spent 10 years fixing ATMs, or a copier technician, or an industrial electrician, someone who knows how to use a multimeter, knows how to read a schematic, and really isn't afraid of getting their hands dirty.
So they take this person who already has the basic mechanical or electrical skills, and then what?
Then Robo Reliance provides the gap training. They certify them on the specific robot platform. So when a robot breaks in, say, rural Nebraska, they don't have to fly an engineer from San Francisco. They just ping the local technician who lives 20 miles away who has already been certified on that specific machine.
Oh, that makes so much sense. It solves the geography problem.
Yeah.
And it solves the overhead problem. Because if there are no broken robots that week, Robo Reliance isn't paying that technician a full-time salary.
Correct. It turns a fixed cost into a variable cost. That's really how you scale a national service business without going bankrupt.
Okay, so in the business plan, they break down their services into 3 buckets. And I want to walk through these because the mix is really important for how they actually make money. The first one is installation.
Right. Pretty standard. A company buys 10 robots, someone has to unpack them, bolt them down, and hook up the Wi-Fi. That's one-time revenue.
Simple enough. Then there's break fix. That's the emergency call we talked about. Help. Smoke is coming out of the battery.
Yeah, that's high-margin emergency work. They bill hourly for that. But the third bucket is the one that should make investors really sit up straight. Preventive maintenance.
It's a subscription model.
This is the holy grail. ARR, annual recurring revenue. They want to sell a service contract where a technician comes out once a month, greases the joints, updates the firmware, checks the battery levels.
Boring work.
Extremely boring and extremely profitable. It turns a chaotic, unpredictable business into a utility, like paying your electric bill. You pay it so the lights don't go out. If they can convert their clients to this model, the valuation of the company skyrockets because that revenue is predictable.
Now, there's a concept in the deck called density that they keep referencing over and over.
Yeah.
Why is that so important to this model?
It's the basic economics of the gig economy. If you have one client in a city, it's hard to keep a technician interested. But if you have 10 clients, say a few restaurants, a warehouse, a hospital, suddenly that local technician has steady, reliable work. As they get more density in a specific zip code, the response times get faster because the tech is physically closer, and the margins get better because there's less travel time.
It's a flywheel. More clients mean more techs. More techs mean faster service. Faster service brings more clients.
Exactly. It feeds itself once it gets going.
But, and this is a big but, we see pitch decks like this all the time. We're going to build a platform. It's easy to write on a slide. It's really hard to actually execute in the real world. Is this just a theory, or do they actually have traction?
That was my biggest question going into this material. And then I got to the section on Chef Robotics.
The anchor client.
Yes, this is the validation. Chef Robotics isn't some theoretical concept. They are a real company making AI-powered food prep robots. They are deploying these things into commercial kitchens right now. And Robo Reliance isn't just pitching them, they are already doing the work.
So they are currently handling the field service for Chef Robotics nationwide.
Yes, and that tells us 2 massive things. First, the technician network actually works. They are successfully fixing these complex machines in the wild. And second, the OEMs, the manufacturers, are absolutely desperate to outsource this. Chef Robotics clearly looked at the problem and said, we do not want to build a service department. Please just take this off our plate.
It proves the market need is urgent. It's not something companies might want in 5 years. They need it today.
And having that logo on their slide deck opens doors. It proves to the next manufacturer that they can be trusted.
Okay, so they have the food service sector started. They have a solid foothold. But here is where the deep dive gets really interesting and honestly a little bit futuristic. The future-proofing section.
The humanoid wave.
Yeah, they devote a significant amount of the deck to this. They're talking about companies like Figure, Eptronic, 1X, and obviously Tesla with the Optimus bot.
It's the biggest bet in the industry right now by far.
And the timeline they list in the documents says commercial deployment for these humanoids is 12 to 24 months away. That felt really aggressive to me. Is that real?
It sounds fast, but if you look at what's happening in logistics, pilot programs are already starting. BMW is testing humanoids in their factories. Amazon is testing agility robotics. The wave is breaking right now.
And Robo Reliance's argument is that a humanoid robot is a completely different beast compared to a robotic arm.
It's exponentially more complex. Think about it. A robotic arm is bolted to a steady table. It has maybe 6 joints. A humanoid has legs. It has balance sensors. It has hands with delicate fingers. It has a massive, heavy battery pack. And it walks around.
Which means it falls down.
It falls down, it bumps into things, its gyroscope gets completely out of whack. From a maintenance perspective, a humanoid robot is a nightmare. It requires constant calibration and care.
And the market size for this?
Goldman Sachs, which is not exactly a sensationalist blog, projects the humanoid market could reach $38 billion by 2035. Robo Reliance is trying to build the infrastructure now. They want to have the training curriculums written, the software built, and the technicians certified before the market explodes.
So when Tesla says, okay, we're shipping 10,000 Optimus bots, Robo Reliance is the only company with the capacity to actually support them.
It's the first mover advantage. If they can lock in those relationships early, they build a competitive moat that is very hard for anyone else to cross.
It kind of reminds me of the early days of the automobile.
Yeah.
You couldn't just sell cars, you needed gas stations and mechanics everywhere. And Ford didn't want to run the gas stations.
And Tesla doesn't want to change the oil, or in this case, the servo motors.
Let's shift gears for a second and look at the people behind this. Because a distributed workforce of independent contractors is notoriously hard to manage. If you don't have the right leadership, quality control goes out the window and the whole brand collapses. Who is steering the ship here?
This was the part that gave me the most comfort reading through the team directory. This isn't a group of college kids hacking this together in a dorm room. It's a very veteran team. The founder, chairman, and COO is Steve Urban.
He's the former CEO of RiderSlicks, right? That's a recruiting firm.
Yes. And at first glance, you might think, why a recruiter? But think about the business model again. The product is the people. The product is the ability to find, vet, and retain thousands of technicians across the country. Having a founder with 30-plus years of experience in recruiting and scaling service businesses is actually the perfect skill set.
That's a really great point. If the recruiting fails, the business fails.
Exactly. And then to balance that out, on the technical side, you have Steve Wishstar.
The other Steve.
The technical Steve.
Yeah.
And his resume is heavy. He's the CTO with over 40 years of engineering experience. We're talking NASA, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon.
NASA. That's serious.
Yes. And that matters because they aren't fixing toasters. They are fixing highly complex, sometimes dangerous machinery. You need someone who can design a training curriculum that takes a regular technician and teaches them how to safely service a high-voltage bipedal robot. You need that intense engineering rigor.
They also list Jeff Wright on the advisory board. I saw a former Marine and Air Force Special Tactics and founder of Splash-Own Robotics, which does defense drones.
That screams operational rigor to me. When you are deploying assets in the field, whether it's a military drone or a pizza-making robot, logistics are everything. You need absolute discipline in the system.
I want to nerd out for a second on the governance structure. Because looking at the cap table from February 2026, there was a specific detail about the Class B units that I found really unusual.
You mean the vesting schedule for the advisors?
Yeah. Usually, advisors get equity that vests over time. You stay for 2 years, you get your shares. But here, the advisors and non-founders have Class B units that only vest on a change of control.
meaning nobody gets paid unless the company is sold.
Exactly.
It's fascinating, isn't it? It aligns the incentives perfectly. It prevents the cap table from getting diluted by people who are just hanging around. It tells me the founders, who, by the way, have equal voting power at 23.3% each, are very serious about an exit strategy. They're probably looking at selling to a major logistics company or a large OEM down the road, and they want everyone pulling in that exact direction.
It's a very investor-friendly structure. And speaking of investors, let's talk about the ask. What are they actually looking for right now?
They are seeking $1.5 million in seed funding.
And the valuation?
$5 million pre-money.
Okay, can we pause on that for a second? In a world where AI startups with nothing but a PDF are asking for $50 million valuations, $5 million seems almost suspiciously reasonable.
It is remarkably sane. I think it reflects the reality of the business. This is a grindy business. It's operations heavy. It's not a software company with 90% margins where you write the code once and sell it a million times. They have to recruit real people to do real physical work. The margins will be good, but they won't be software margins.
So the valuation is discipline.
It's highly disciplined. It tells me they aren't drinking their own Kool-Aid. They know exactly what kind of business they are building.
And looking at the use of funds, 40% of that $1.5 million goes straight to technician recruitment and training.
The engine room. They aren't spending it on Super Bowl ads or fancy offices. They are spending it on building the core network. Then 25% goes to sales and marketing, and 20% to technology, which is building out the app and platform to manage all the work orders.
Let's look at the crystal ball for a minute. What are their financial projections?
They're projecting $300,000 in revenue for year one. That's the proof of concept phase. Then they target break-even in year 3 with about $3.5 million in revenue. And by year 5, they are aiming for $15 million.
That's a solid growth curve. But there was a footnote in the investor deck regarding those numbers that I think is the most important line in the whole document.
No humanoid revenue is assumed before year 3.
That is crucial.
It is. It means their financial model is not dependent on the sci-fi stuff happening tomorrow. They can hit their numbers just by servicing the boring robots that exist today, the food prep, the ag bots, the logistics mules.
So if the humanoid revolution gets delayed by 5 years, the company doesn't go bust.
Exactly. But if the humanoid revolution does happen on schedule, then those numbers are wildly conservative. That's pure upside. It's a very smart way to pitch. They're basically saying, we are viable today, but we're perfectly positioned for the explosion tomorrow.
You don't want to be the company that goes bankrupt waiting for the future to arrive. You want to be profitable while you wait.
Precisely. It minimizes the risk for the investor.
So I've looked at the problem, the solution, the team, and the numbers. When you step back and look at Robo Reliance as a whole, what is the big takeaway for you?
For me, it's a reminder that we often look at the wrong things when we analyze innovation. We get distracted by the shiny object. We obsess over who builds the smartest robot. But Robo Reliance is identifying a fundamental truth of the physical universe. Entropy exists. Things break.
And the more complex the machine, the more it breaks.
Right. They are trying to turn a chaotic, inevitable problem into a boring, predictable utility. They want to be the plumbing of the robotics age. Plumbing isn't sexy. You don't see plumbers doing keynotes at CES. But plumbers make a lot of money. And civilization doesn't work without them.
It puts a really different spin on the whole robots taking our jobs narrative we always hear about.
That's the provocative thought I keep coming back to after reading this. We worry about the cook, the warehouse picker, the farmhand losing their jobs to automation. And let's be honest, that is happening.
But we aren't just removing humans from the loop. We are moving them.
We're moving them from doing the repetitive task to fixing the machine that does the task.
So the blue-collar job of 2035 might not be manual labor at all. It might be a highly technical role. You're walking into a restaurant with an iPad and a diagnostic tool to perform surgery on a humanoid waiter.
It's a massive shift from labor to maintenance. And if Robo Reliance is right about the scale of this industry, that workforce is going to have to be massive. We are going to need an absolute army of these people.
It's a fascinating pivot. The robots aren't just tools. They are the new employers in a way. It's definitely something for you to think about the next time you see a delivery bot rolling down the sidewalk and you wonder who's going to come pick it up when it inevitably tips over into a snowbank.
It won't be the AI. It'll be a guy in a van.
That's it for this deep dive into Robo Reliance. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.